Well, great morning, Chitty Chat Kitty Cat. Oh my goodness. Well, as you know, I got a new Bible and going back and reading it again. But I have to say, there are some things that are, when you read it like the third, fourth time, you start catching things that you didn't catch before. And, most of the Old Testament's about histories and things of Israel. And it was written by a lot of different people because, you keep catching different things. And these are all supposed to be prophets. But you get one thing in one place, and then you get kind of the opposite in the next place. And so you're catching these things that are, very odd along the way. Like first chapter and second chapter, when you first start out in Genesis, it's different ideations about the creation of man, this planet, etc., etc. They're two different stories, okay? Two different stories. Then you get into it and you go through the Garden of Eden and all the things that happened with Cain and Abel. And Cain was he was a farmer, okay, producing wheat and, vegetables and wheat and vegetarian fare, okay, basically. Abel was the one that was, he was a herder, like sheep herder, sheeps and cows and that type of thing. Well, they decided they were going to build an altar and offer up the first fruits of their labor. Well, God didn't accept Cain's. Now, it doesn't say why it wasn't accepted, okay? Why he accepted the sheep and that type of thing, and he didn't accept the other. So the consequence of that, Cain got angry and killed his brother Abel. Okay? Then we keep moving on. Then we have the Nephilim. Okay? Now it doesn't say, it just says Nephilim were sons of God. Okay? Sons of God. It doesn't say whether they were angels. It doesn't say whether they were aliens. It could be an aliens, okay? Could have been aliens because it was a giant race. Now, I don't look at angels as a race because, also it says that, when they fall and when it becomes demons, okay, it's another story. Then they are into the fleshly things. But angels in heaven are not into fleshly things. They are not given in marriage. They're not having anything to do with relations and things. Okay? Angels in heaven are basically, they are equally. They're not one sex or the other. They're kind of androgynous. Okay? Demons, on the other hand, are another thing entirely, okay? That's something different. So it doesn't say, but when it says it calls them sons of God, I wouldn't say they were either angels or demons. I think it had to be something else. That's my speculation on it, okay? But they were giants, okay? And they saw women that they were fair, and they started taking them from wives and procreating with them. And then it says that God looked and saw the evil in men's hearts, that it was just evil, and so destroyed the earth with the great flood. So everything's destroyed. Now, just before the destruction, though, he's telling Noah, oh, you found favor in my eyes. I'm going to make you a great nation. I want you to build the ark. And here's how you're going to do it. You're going to take 7 of the clean animals and 2 of the unclean, 2 of each of them in this ark, and it's just you and your immediate family. Okay, that's it. Now, it doesn't say too much about Noah's wife. It talks about his sons. He had 3 sons, and they had their wives. Okay, so here comes the great flood. God says, I'll never destroy the earth with a flood and mankind with a flood again. He puts the rainbow in the heavens, etc. But it comes out, and so everybody is descended from Noah. Okay? Now we get into that. When Noah comes out of the boat, before that they had the clean and unclean animals. Okay? Well, when Noah came out, then there was a change in it. And it says, well, you can have anything that moves to eat. Anything that's moving, you can eat it, but you just can't have the blood with it. Okay? You have to take the blood out. But you can eat anything that moves. So out went this provisions for the clean and unclean animals. Okay? Then we have Noah. Noah decides he's going to build vineyards. So Noah builds vineyards, and he gets drunk as a skunk. He passes out, and his I think it's the youngest son, that was supposed to have Canaan, being Canaan, saw his dad was naked, and he tells his brother, Dad's in there drunk. Okay, he's passed out and he's naked. Okay, go ahead, check it. Oh my God. And the other 2 brothers take this thing over the shoulders. They walk backwards so they don't see him being naked. So when he comes up out of his stupor, from his drunkenness, okay, then he curses. He curses the youngest one and his progeny and says, you're all going to be, slaves. You're going to have to do the bidding of your other brothers. Okay? Now, what kind of person does that? What kind of person curses their family members and say, well, you're going to be slaves because you saw me naked. I was out there passed out. You saw me naked, so now I'm going to curse you. What in the world? And this is what mankind's descended from? So you're going, okay. So we continue forward, okay? Then we have that he has Abram is one of the progeny. And it says, God tells Abram, you need to leave your father's house, okay? You need to get out of there, and you need to go to where I'm going to tell you to go, okay? Now, through this, remember, the whole world is populated just by Noah. By Noah and his sons, okay? So they're going to the land of Egypt. Now, of course, if everybody's descended from the same place, then everyone is, having some relationship. They're your family members. But we're going to the evil Egyptian lands, okay? So Abram goes, and they're coming to the Egyptian lands, and he's married to Sarai. And he tells her, we're coming to Egypt, and, you're so beautiful. If they see you, they're going to want to kill me and take you. So you tell them you're my sister. So he's telling her to lie. So we have this another son of Noah, who's Abram, that's going to become Abraham, who's going to have David, who's going to have Christ. You're going, okay, so they're going in there, and the first thing he does is tell her to lie. And you're looking at this going, okay. So they go there, and she lies, and the princes saw her, and she was beautiful, so they took her to Pharaoh to live in Pharaoh's home. Okay? Now, because she was so beautiful and she was in Pharaoh's home, okay, that he gave a lot of things to Abram. He gave him cattle, gave him money, gave him, he became very prosperous because his wife was with Pharaoh. Okay, so great. Now this guy has lied, and he's now becoming wealthy because of his lie. Well, it's okay because they're goy. They're not they're not Israeli. So it's okay. You can go ahead and lie. And now, if you know anything about the Judaism things, they say it's okay if you lie to a Gentile. Okay, it's okay if you lie to a Gentile, but you can't lie to another, to another Jewish person. But you can lie to somebody that's not Jewish. That's okay. So I guess he's saying, oh, well, they're not Jewish, so I can go ahead and lie. Okay? Okay, so let's proceed. So, if Pharaoh finds out, and they're having these plagues, it says there's having plagues on Pharaoh's house, and he finds out that she's actually married. Okay? Now, it doesn't say whether they had relations or not. But I don't think they're going to be plagues on a house if you're not having relations. So if they're having relations, he has caused his wife to commit adultery. Adultery back there, and there's a stoning offense. So he lies. His wife goes there. She's with Pharaoh. He's getting all these goods, and then Pharaoh's getting plagues because maybe he hasn't done the physical act. But of course, it says even if you look at them with lust, you've committed adultery, okay? So he's getting these plagues. So he goes, get out of here, you two. So they leave, okay? Then, and they live a very long time in those years. They lived, up to 800, 900 years. At this point, he's in his 70s, okay? So he's a young buck for that time. Kind of crazy, isn't it? So they leave, and she's not had children. She hasn't had any progeny, and she has this handmaiden called Hagar, one of her servants that she had that's an Egyptian woman named Hagar. And she goes, well, Hagar, why don't you go in and, maybe he can have a child with you because I'm not having a child, So she goes in, Hagar gets pregnant. Then I guess Hagar is kind of getting a little uppity because I'm pregnant and you're not. I'm all that in a bag of chips. Well, then Sarai, she's not having it. And she goes and complains to Abram, and Abram goes, well, you do whatever you want with her. She's your servant. You take care of it. I don't want to deal with it. Okay, basically, I don't want to deal with it. You deal with it. So she says, you need to leave. So Hagar starts to leave, and then the angel of the Lord comes and says, she's by this pool, and he says, what are you doing here? She goes, well, I got thrown out. I'm leaving because, we just have this big, huge row going. He goes, no, you have to go back there. You have to go back again. Okay? So Hagar goes back. She has a child. They name it Ishmael. Now, Ishmael, it says he was a troublemaker. From the word go. He'd want to fight with everybody. Okay? So we have Hagar that had Ishmael, and he's fighting with everyone. Then God says, well, you're going to be the father of a great nation, so I'm changing your name from Abram to Abraham, and I'm changing your wife's name from Sarai to Sarah. Okay, so now Abram has a name change. Now he's Abraham, and his wife is Sarah, okay? And he says, oh, Sarah's going to have a child, okay? And you're going to have a great nation, okay? So Sarah does get pregnant. Now, there is that part where Sarah gets pregnant, and then there is also the handmaid gets pregnant. Now, I think it's in a different book. So it's a different story than the one that's in Genesis. Because she gets pregnant, she has a servant that gets pregnant, and in this version, the servant is sent out, and Dot doesn't tell it to come back, and it's Ishmael. She goes into the wilderness, and it says that she also, her progeny became a nation as well, became the Muslim nation. So again, we have two variances of the story. Well, which is it? Did she go back and had the son Ishmael that was under the yoke of Abraham? Or was it that they sent her out and her son became the Muslim nation and the lineage of Muhammad? So which is it? Which is it? So like I said, this time reading it, I'm like getting a lot of seeing it from a different perspective and going, there's a lot of craziness when it comes to this. Now, if everybody is descended from Noah, how do we get all these different, Egyptians? We get all these other various things that are going on. And what kind of a son curses, what kind of father curses his son and his grandchildren, etc., is cursing them. And then you have the, you can have everything that moves to eat, and then later, again, they're going to change that again back to clean and unclean. So there are a lot of, this time, since I've read it a number of times, I'm catching more of these details. You get into the nitty-gritty of it, so to speak. That, when it's the first time through, it's so overwhelming that you've got so much stuff, But, yeah, this is not to, now don't get me wrong, this is not to take anything away from Christ. Absolutely not, But this is why he came to reform it. Here you have the guy that everybody's descended from that's cursing his kids, okay? We have going in and they're lying, okay? Causing his wife basically what it says to commit adultery, okay? He gets goods from lying. So why did they not need a reformer to reform this stuff? And these are the ones that are supposed to be godly, but don't forget, but what, yeah, okay. Like Christ said, I came for those that are ill, not those that are well. I came for those that need a physician, okay? Okay? I came for those that need a physician. Those that are doing the right thing, they don't, they're already doing the right thing. I came to work with those that aren't doing the right thing, okay? They're not doing the right thing. So again, seeing it from a different perspective, and No, I don't take anything away from Christ. This is not to say that he's tarnished in any way, no. But the family history, is like, oh my God, you got the drunken dad. Was anything any better back then? No, we got the liars, we got the drunks, we've got the, all of these things happening. And each one is saying they're getting these prophecies from God. But in each case, it's something different. And they don't, if they're all coming from absolute, divine knowledge, they should dovetail. They should fit together. But a lot of these things do not fit together. They don't have a continuity. Okay? One person's doing one thing, and that's what happens with religious persuasions. Maybe they've had some sort of a feeling of awakening, and then, it's like those that have a glimpse, but they haven't gone the whole way to realization. They have a glimpse and they come back, and then all of a sudden, I'm God, I'm, this type of a thing. Okay? So they get a mistaken notion and they wrap it around ego again. So I think it's kind of that same type of thing. They're on a spiritual path and they get these things which they think are higher, but then it gets kind of corrupted along the way, into something else. And it becomes this rigid system, a rigidity. And Christ came to get rid of this rigidity and these, dogmas and all of that type of thing. He came to give something much higher, much, much higher. And we look at, again, and this is just the first books. We have way more to go again, of these ideations that come in. Now again, this is not to take away, some of the Psalms are wonderful, and Proverbs, a lot of the Proverbs are really, great things that there is being said. Proverbs is a great book. A lot of the Psalms is a great book. But again, I had the one Psalm I read, the 109th, where the guy's basically wanting to have vengeance, and it's that same thing. The father's drunk, he passes out, and then he curses his son. And says, you're going to be a servant, and all your children after that are going to be servants of your brother because you saw me naked. Okay? Really? Oh my goodness. So anyway, I'm going to keep reading and go through yet again. But, when I tell people that want to study the Bible, I say, please first read what Christ said, what his mission was, and then go back and you can understand, more of this, where it came from. Now, from the beginning, it sets up this idea of this sacrifice, But then later, what it says is, I don't want you to sacrifice all these animals. I don't eat them. I don't eat. I don't drink. I'm spirit. What do I need? And if I did eat, they all belong to me. I created them all. What the heck do I need you to do this for? This sacrifice. Okay? But it's up there to say, wages of sin is death, and you have to have a propitiation. So they're trying to buy their way out with these sacrifices. Okay? Kind of like somebody trying to buy off something. Can't buy off the church, no matter how much money you give. And you can't buy off the things that you've done. That there's karma. You can't get out of karma by sacrificing something. Okay? It doesn't work that way. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get out of karma by sacrificing. But what God said later was, I don't want these sacrifices. And consequently, the temple was torn down and the Holy of Holies was destroyed. The Ark of the Covenant was taken, okay? Because he's saying, the sacrifice I want is that you do the right thing, that you live a right life. That's the sacrifice I want. I don't want you killing, the cows and the goats and the things as a sacrifice, okay? It's not what I need. I want you to do the right thing in your life. Live a good life, okay? You can't buy me off. It's not going to work that way. But if you have to have this sacrifice, then okay. Here's Yeshua ben Joseph, okay? Jesus. And he's a perfect lamb. He has absolutely no blemish, and he will be the last sacrifice for all. Not just for Jews, not just for Christians. He is the sacrifice. Okay? If you set up this thing that's the law, you have to have a sacrifice, then okay, here it is. Here's the sacrifice. Okay? And he did that for all mankind. Because, again, he told the thieves that were on either side of him when he was on the cross in Golgotha that today you will be with me in paradise. Today you will be with me in paradise. And when they took him down from the cross, he went to hell for 3 days. He went to hell to try to liberate them, give them the chance to be liberated. Okay? So there you have it. But like I said, I'm only in the very first books. You're already going. Your head's spinning. Your eyes are going like. You can't make this stuff up, okay? Noah makes a vineyard. He's out there getting drunk. He's passing out. He's cursing his son. He's got, other progeny that leaves, okay? That starts out by lying. You're going, oh my goodness. So welcome to the Old Testament. I kid you not. Take a look and see if I am not right. So on that note, I'm taking a little break from it for a few minutes. Oh my goodness. Because the head is spinning with this craziness. Yeah. And you look at the ancient things. Now, if you've ever read the Quran has more of the history of between Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. Okay? It's got a more complete history than does the Bible when it comes to those happenings. Okay? That I can tell you. So anyway, like Christ said, I come for those that are not well, not for those that are doing the right thing. They say, why do you hang out with the publicans? Why do you hang out with the sinners? Why aren't you hanging? He says, because they're the ones that need me. They're the ones that need the truth, not the ones that are already living the life that I'm telling people to live. They already have the way. They're doing the right thing, okay? It's those that don't know, okay? Those that are caught up in bondage. I'm here to try to aid them, okay? So, that note, I think I'm going to leave this here for now. Enough rambling about that, and I'll see you online.